it was lots of
So yeah,
fun. And I
so
learned a lot
you know,
of stuff. I thought I knew quite a bit about the
why
gas industry, being
why do
involved in
they
it for most of my life.
try and
But I learned a
make
lot
it
of
look
different
like
things
they're
as
at
well.
arm's length with me and my
One of the areas I
nonprofit?
was looking at was,
You know, why did they
accelerating
draw
use of
me in back in the
electrification
day
in the
with,
natural gas
oh,
sector.
bring me the proposal and,
by doing
you know,
that,
do
it
the
actually
adjustment
reduced
and,
the greenhouse
yeah,
gas
it sounds
emissions.
really good and,
Something that,
you know, and blah, blah,
makes a
blah,
lot
and
of
then
sense.
turn around and turn their backs on me and toss
you
me
look at
off
the
to the side and,
electrification of
you know,
natural
and make it
gas,
hard for me with
sector,
the nightclub, you know,
three areas
initiatives
that
and that
come to mind
whole, you know,
really
9
quickly.
yards.
One is what's called the
But, you know, at
modern
the end of the
gas
day, whatever I've done, I've never done it
that's
for
the area
malicious
from south of
intent
Dawson
because no
Creek,
matter
south and
how
south
messed
and
up
east
my
of
life
Dawson
can be
Creek
from
to the
time to
north and
time,
west
I
of
still consider
Fort St.
myself
John.
blessed, okay? Because I
And,
know people in other
that
countries
area
have
is
it
not
pretty
too
worse
hard
than
to
I do. So,
electrify, 'cause BC Hydro
I'm
already has a
grateful
grid
for what
in
I
that
have.
area.
But at
They
the
have
end
a
of the
power
day,
grid
why are
that
these
they can,
people, you know, these
that they can tie
politicians
onto and they
not
can add
doing
power.
more
So right now,
to
BC Hydro is
move this nonprofit
working with the
forward so
producers,
that
and they're
a
actually,
lot of these issues that they're
they're
talking
bringing
about
more power
can
into
have a
that grid
buffer
as we
to,
speak. They've
in
got
terms of, you know, if
contracts. They're
nonprofit
gonna
does
have
well,
power
then
done over
obviously
2
there would be
phases,
more,
and by
more
2015 we'll
income
have
in
enough power that the
in the
Montney,
you know in the province
enough power in the
to
Montney
to
area
address some of these issues that
look
aren't
after
being
all
addressed.
electrification issues
And
in
I
Montney.
don't get it. Like
The other area
I
is
don't
the Horn
understand
River. Now the Horn River is,
how
I don't know if all of you know where that
they
is,
can
but
be at
it's
arm's
north of
length,
Fort Nelson.
but yet be so much up in my mix
About
and make it so hard
200
for me
miles.
through
About 200 miles
red
of
tape,
transmission line that you have to
politics, and all this
build
other stuff,
from,
so that you know whatever I'm trying to
Dam
do becomes basically
to
stagnant,
the Horn River.
and I just look like some raging idiot all the
costs
time
about $2
complaining.
billion.
You know, I've had people
becomes a
suggest
point
that
in
I'm the
time
one
where
running
you
around
have
with
to
the
weigh
entitlement
some of the
mentality, which is a
costs
bunch
and
of
some
bull
of the
crap because, you know,
environmental
these
issues
people that
against
open their mouths and saying, oh, you know, you got an entitlement mentality.
When you
Well,
get
you didn't
to
dig
the
into
point
your
of the Horn
pocket and
River,
fucking
it
spend
makes
40
absolutely
grand
no
to
sense
try and do
run a
something good in your
transmission line
community
to
and
the
then
Horn River.
and then be mistreated
Not my estimation,
and
anyhow.
then have to carry that
think it
debt
makes
load
great
and
sense
still push
to look
forward
at
with a
the oil and gas
nonprofit
industry.
that these
Look to
people,
what
you know,
you
this
have
guy,
a
not
great-
him
great
personally, but,
supply
you know,
of.
the people that
And we
he's
have a great
standing on that
supply
side of the
natural
house
gas.
representing have basically put the brakes
On the
on.
Horn River, we have,
And
just
for
the Horn
all
River
that they
alone,
talk and
marketable
complain
gas that I'm gonna
themselves
talk about.
and,
Yes,
you know, foster their own
78
entitlement
million
mentality,
cubic
you would
feet of
think
natural
that
gas
regardless
that's
of
been identified in the
what
Horn
their
River.
politics are, that they would
And
be
that-
in support of the
just to put that
nonprofit
in a little
because
bit
it
small
opens up
perspective so that
opportunities
folks can understand
for
what that
jobs.
means.
You know,
Right
I don't
now,
know if they
from
see the
British
nonprofit
Columbia
as a threat
produces
because of the financing
1
that
TCF
could
a day.
manifest
1
from
TCF a
the
year,
networking
sorry.
under a trademark name in terms of, you know,
1
accumulated
TCF a year.
collective wealth.
River alone,
You know, I don't know
78
if they see
trillion
that as a
cubic
threat,
feet
and that's why there's
natural
always
gas
hurdles and
in these
you know,
areas.
hurdles and barriers, and you know, whether it's on a provincial level or whether it's on a municipal level. You know, I don't fuck too much with the federal level, no, at this point, because you know they're going to do what they're going to do anyway, and you know, you got to start in your own backyard first, and it's not like I haven't been trying in my own damn backyard, but at the end of the day, you know, these guys are constantly putting the freaking brakes on me, but then they're sitting up there crying and whining and feeling sorry for themselves and trying to shift the blame on the beast, you know, on the NDP that was in 1999. You know, they didn't get elected out until 2001. Well, these guys have been in there for 11 years, and you know, a lot of what they say, not everything, but you know, a large portion of what they say is rhetoric, and it's contrary to what's really out there on a larger scale of what when you're dealing with the population as a whole. You know, like I said before, these people are more like a self-interest group that partner up with big business from China, big business from Asia, you know, big business from the United States of America, and wherever the fuck else the big business is coming from. For all we know, it could be Australia. We know that they, you know, they're hand in hand with the Queen of London there, you know, and advocating on her behalf. Matter of fact, when people sign their welfare forms, you know, to get welfare, it's right there on the welfare form that, you know, any money that is owed to back to social services is owed to the Queen of England. Like what is that? Brainwashing?
The other area that we want to look at was the acceleration of natural gas in the transportation sector. I think you have to know that the biggest greenhouse gas emitter in British Columbia is the transportation sector. About 35 to 40% of all.
Yeah, but the biggest revenue grab for the transportation sector under the transit system is giving poor people tickets for $175 a pop, and that includes just standing on the platform. Okay?
From gasoline or diesel to natural gas, it's equivalent to taking 300 vehicles off the road. That's where we can make a huge dent.
But they shut down the rails. They leased it off to some company from the United States. I don't know what the hell they're shipping on the rails, but they basically just kind of wiped out the rail line, right? So I don't know why he's talking about big trucks and when there's nothing to fill in the gap.
We really need to look at and focus on. The other area was to look at the Northern Rockies Regional Municipality and the jobs and service center opportunities. The Northern Rockies has the Horn River gas play, as I talked about earlier, 78 TCF. There's also the Liard Basin, and there's also the Cordova Basin. These are going to be two more world-class natural gas plays that have not even started to be developed yet. There are some out there that say that both of these gas plays could be every bit as large as the Horn River Basin. So we have an opportunity in front of us that we have never seen before, ever. These are world-class gas plays.
Again, self-interest.
States about the Marcellus and some of the gas plays over on the west coast and the Haynesville. These are the same magnitude. We have something to be very proud of in British Columbia, especially in northeastern British Columbia, where we found this amazing find. And certainly something that I think we have some great opportunities around. Fort Nelson, if they produce just 30 to 40% of the Liard Basin alone, just the Liard Basin, I'm not talking about just the Horn River rather, I'm not talking about the Liard or the Cordova, they could have up to 14,000 jobs created in the Fort Nelson area alone. Now that's something that you have to pay attention to. When you talk about the Kitimat
Here comes the
LNG
strippers.
projects, for every dollar spent on an LNG project in Kitimat, you'd have $10 spent on upstream projects
They don't even have housing up there, so who is he kidding?
in the Fort St. John and the Dawson Creek, Hudson Hope area of the province.
Calgary is experiencing a housing shortage. Fort McMurray is experiencing a housing shortage. That's all in Alberta, right?
This budget certainly puts us in great stead to make that all happen. This budget supports the investment. This budget supports the LNG projects. And you won't have an LNG project if you don't have the gas.
At the end of the day, these people, regardless of what happens, will make their money.
So certainly I think we've done
their pension plans are guaranteed. You know, their lot in life is stamped in gold. So when you factor that in to every decision that they make along the way,
and we're not going to fix them all tomorrow,
and who they align themselves with on the premise that they're speaking on behalf of the poor, you know, they represent all of BC. We're doing it for you. Take your bitter pill and swallow it. You know, if you want, you know, social safety nets, you know, we have to do it this way. This is the only way we can do it. At the end of the day, when they retire, or they never get fired, but you know, and when the shit hits the fan and it gets too hot, they just, you know, sidestep and like Gordon Campbell and, you know, step down and move on. But you know, he walked out with over, you know, $250,000 just by doing that, right? So his base is covered. So, you know, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, they make their paycheck. So just remember that. You know, when people do something, like the cops in the United States of America with this Occupy Wall Street, going around with their military units, you know, banging on their shields, you know, and just, I don't know, like you're in some future society, you know, corralling everybody up to, you know, carry them off to some, you know, oil drum and leave them there for 3 weeks so that they can come out dehydrated. You know, you have to remember, those cops get paid for that. So, you know, it's not about the principle of what's right and what's wrong. It's the fact that they get paid, and that's the only reason that they're doing it. And, well, it's the same thing with these guys. The only reason that they're doing what they're doing is because they get paid for it, and they will continue to get paid for it, and they will always get paid for it because they walk out with their pension plans. So, you know, regardless of what the damage is, there is a cost to that. And so, because they do it for a paycheck, you really have to ask yourself, you know,
of permits that are out
Is it
there.
for the paycheck,
And that's going to be huge.
or is it for
That'll help
what's
streamline
right
and get the
in terms
permits
of
out.
humanity
Jobs
and
moving.
society?
Very
Because as
important
far as I'm
stuff.
concerned, we live in a
The one
failing
thing that
society.
I
Our
have
society
to
is
talk a
not
bit about
successful.
is
I don't know about
carbon
some other
tax
country,
and what
but
the
I know in BC,
minister
Canada,
did in his
this
budget
is
in
not a
regards to
very
carbon
successful
tax,
society
reviewed
because
the
the
carbon
gap
tax.
between the
I had
haves
the honor of
and the
sitting down
have-not
with
is
the
just
finance
way
committee
too
this summer.
wide.
So it gets back to the old adage that I started out with. Certainly I didn't spend much time at home, and I apologize again to the folks that didn't get a chance to see that much of me this summer, but I think it was all
This is not what I had
in
planned to
the
do
endeavor
today.
we
I was
did.
actually
The
going to
Finance
try and clean up
Committee,
my kitchen and,
one of the things that we
try and
really
put away some stuff and
recognized in
obviously
all
wash
the
my floor as
comments
usual,
that
right?
people
But,
were presenting to us
this is
over
this
and
is
over
important
again.
stuff in light of the
One of the common
nonprofit.
themes was-
Really, I don't know
was
what I'm going to
carbon
do with this nonprofit. It's getting close to ending up on
So
Christy
our
Christy
committee
Clark's
came up
freaking
with
door.
5
You know,
recommendations around carbon tax.
that's one option. She, like I said, can go dissolution because it's her government that's put up all the hurdles and have, played double fiddle with me, right? So at some point, they're going to have to take some responsibility. We are dealing with a federal trademark name, and I would think that the provincial government would be interested in that.
Agenda.
But it's not something for them to play with, toy with, because at the end of the day, they're destroying lives. Not only are they destroying the life of my family with their draconian freaking rules and rule of law and legislation and roadblocks and hurdles and, forked tongue and, false opportunity, but they're also, destroying, a countless number of lives in BC just by holding up what I'm trying to do.
I think that's a great position for us to be in. The other issue that
Like one of those people need to go speak to Diane Watts and tell her to, pull herself up by her bootstraps and stop being such a greedy bitch, and give other people a chance to go out there and do something. It's not all about Diane Watts and what she can do for her community at her leisure, right? When it's appropriate and a good time for her. It's like, why don't you share the wealth? Why don't you give other people an opportunity? And I'm not talking some little park event, as an interlude to her, fusion festival, right, where she can boast about how well she's entertaining the community. Well, she's got me off on the side doing some little gig that is going to be where the playground is being put together there, so that I can talk about playground restoration while she's sitting in the background plotting how she can put herself forward in 6 months from now and make it look like she's got that on her head.
So what did the finance minister do?
Like I said, I'm tired of being used.
Took our number 1 recommendation. We're implementing the last.
I don't get paid to stand there and babble.
BC carbon tax.
Okay? I don't get paid for nothing. I get ridiculed and ran down to the ground. That's what I get. I get called scandalous. I get harassed by fucking lunatics that don't want me to go out there and do things with kids because they're jealous that they can't go out there and do it themselves. I get harassed by the cops for going out there and planting a freaking garden where people are dying.
What a novel thought that we should keep our industries competitive. And keep
There
our
is no competitive fairness in this
marketplace.
province. The only people that have the competitive edge are the ones with the money.
Fits in perfectly with our jobs plan.
And these guys all got money because they're getting paid.
Businesses, the more jobs we're going to have, and
11 years later, fuck, the job situation should be taken care of. Why are we talking about jobs? Isn't that what they came in blabbing on about in 2001? Oh, jobs, opportunity, 5 great goals. And it's 11 years, where's jobs?
Honorable Speaker, effective April 1st, we're going to eliminate.
Why are we still talking about jobs? They should be here by now.
On international flights, and this is certainly something.